Well, let's see if my plan worked out. If I can squeeze my hand in here without having to remove this whole cowl panel. Yeah, victory, victory. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I'm actually working on, honestly, I hate to say it, but the newest car I've ever worked on. It's a 2016 Chevy Traverse. It's got a whole bunch of plastic garbage all over it that you've got to get out of the way to change out the struts. And I watched a video. I wasn't planning on making a video about this because I saw there were quite a few on there. And I watched 1A Auto, I believe it's called. They usually have some pretty good content. And they usually show some pretty good images and everything. But man, really not a criticism against them. They just did it a different way than I was willing to do it. In their video, the first thing they did was they removed this entire plastic piece that I'm working under right here. And I'll pull you in a second and show you what's up. But yeah, they removed this whole thing. And to do that, you have to take the wipers off. And to take the wipers off, it gets into kind of, just one thing after another. And I'm like, man, I don't really want to take the wipers off unless I absolutely have to. Because you have to put a strip of tape on there or mark it with a magic marker, like a dry erase marker type thing, and then come back and line it up and get everything perfect. And I didn't want to screw with the wipers. For one, when I saw the guy pulling them off on the video, it looked like they were kind of on there pretty hard. And he was saying that if you weren't real careful, you could damage the wiper motor. And I'm like, oh man, I don't want to do that. I'm just putting some struts on here. And in another video, I'm going to put some brake rotors and brake shoes on the front. But yeah, I wanted to see if I could get in here without completely removing this thing and just sneak my hand right in here through this hole and break these loose. And let me move over to the next one before I celebrate. I probably ought to make sure that I can get to every one of them. But I believe I can. I'm pretty confident that I can, because I'll tell you guys, last night I got out here and did the other side. And it was fairly easy to get to everything once I was able to get this thing up. But this thing is a pain in the butt, man. So be ready for that. Lots of those little plastic locking button things, snap cap buttons that you have to pop out. And right now I'm just trying to get everything good and broke loose. I don't want to take these bolts or these nuts all the way off, because that could complicate things later on down the road. But yeah, I thought after I saw that video, I thought, hey, I want to try this and see if it works. And if it does work, then I want to make this video, because this will save you guys quite a bit of headache and quite a bit of time, I would argue. I got my Harbor Freight flashlight in here. Here's something I discovered. Okay, this thing has magnets on it, like neodymium, whatever they're called, magnets. This hood is not steel. It's metal. I think it's aluminum, but that really surprised me. So there's really rarely, here's steel, but that doesn't really do me a lot of good. Normally I can just hang this thing right here on some steel, but yeah, I just found that interesting. And unfortunately for my buddy's wife, they just got hit with a bad hailstorm, and I think they totaled the car, was what they were telling me. And they bought it back from the insurance company or whatever and kept it. But man, what a pain in the butt. Can't have anything nice, that's for sure. Okay, I got one more to get to, and before I pull you guys in and show you what's up here, I want to make sure that I can bust this last one loose here. Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Now I am using an extension, and I'm right up against the metal, and it's kind of uncomfortable because my hands are underneath this plastic. But I would trade a little bit of comfort for some time back on the back end. Because another thing, I just didn't want to take this thing out because there's plastic clips all the way along. And I'm not talking about the little button things. I'm talking about these little plastic things that slide up underneath the metal strip back there. And they look like they could break. And it was not easy to get this thing broken loose once I had the little buttons out. But yeah, I miss the old cars, guys, where you didn't have to take a bunch of plastic off to do a job like this. Of course, the kinds of cars I liked usually had shock absorbers on the front, not struts. But anyway, I'm going to get you pulled in here and show you what we did and how we did it the best we can. All right, I'm going to start showing you over here because I've already done this side and I buttoned it back up. One of the first things you have to do, and it's a real pain, hopefully that's showing up good enough for you guys there. There's this rubber thing right here, and it has a clip on the inside of it. I'll show you when we get to the other side, but you really need to use a trim tool to get that off. Otherwise, you run the risk of breaking the little clip. You have to get up underneath there and kind of feel where it is and then gently pry it out of there. And of course, even though this car is the newest car I've ever worked on, it's still old enough that a lot of the plastic is getting brittle and stuff like that. But yeah, these little buttons are all over the place. I went ahead and put this one back in. And one of the things you have to do is you have to do-si-do this and this. You have to flip them and get that on top of this. It's not easy to do. You have to be real gentle about it. And what happens is as you're going, now again, I've already popped this side here back in, right here. I don't really understand it exactly. There's something inside of there that it's like a clip or something. It must be going into some sort of socket in there, and you can feel it when you push it back in, when you're ready to close up. You have to get that top thing lined up and get it underneath the bottom. I can't really explain it because I can't show you the back side of it, but there is a single battery, negative battery lug that goes right here. You have to take that off. I think it's a 15 mil. You're going to pretty much need all your metric stuff for this. I'm going to have to remember to come back and tighten that up. And you don't go crazy with any of this stuff. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you, and we'll get to the other side, it'll make a lot more sense. This little rubber strip here, that's like the hood dust seal or whatever, it has one of these, oh, you know, the barbed, I wish I could show you one. I guess I can over there. Let's go over that way. It's got one of the little barb deals on it like this. There we go. It's got one of those guys in there. And again, you're best if you have one of these trim tools, like that red one right there. And that will help you get up underneath there and pop those clips out. You have to take, there's no metal on this thing, no steel I can stick this to. There we go, the fender steel at least. This is, I believe, your washer fluid hose, and it just snaps into that little clip there. You have to take that out just so you can manipulate everything. But yeah, can you see now how I had to pull that up and over this other existing plastic piece, and when you're doing it, you can tell it's not too big of a deal. I wasn't anywhere close to breaking it or anything like that. Yeah, you have to put a little bit of bend in that, but it allows you to get in here. Try to light it up like that. I can get my hand in there, and as you can see, there's my ratchet. And I can hit all three bolts that hold the top of the, or nuts, that hold the top of the strut tower on, or the strut itself. And one of the things I did before I loosened any of these bolts is I took a scribe and I scratched around that bolt right there that I can see, that nut that I can see really well. I scratched a circle around it, and that void right there, I scratched in there too so that I can line it up with the new one. They look to be right in the center, but in case they're not in the center, I want to be able to put it back where the factory had it, because these were factory struts on here. And so since the GM assembly plant worked on it, I'm the only one else that's worked on this thing. But anyway, I wanted to show you this, and this will save you guys a ton of time doing this job. Putting it back together is basically just the reverse. You got a whole bunch of these buttons here, these button clips, like this, right? And the best thing to do with these is get a thin, very small, thin blade screwdriver or a pocket knife and slide in underneath them, and then get your trim tool in there, and you can pop this center part out of the lower, and then the thing will pop right out of there, usually. Okay, so just to kind of recap, what you do when you're getting this into this position where you're able to work on this, what you do is you come along and you take these little plastic button cap things out, right? You pull all those out. I believe there's 4 right there, and then there's 2 on these 2 end pieces, because you have to be able to move these end pieces. So you have to take these 2 outer ones off, 1 on each side. So that's 6 total, I believe. You have to take this thing off, this grounding lug nut. You have to pry up underneath this plastic thing up here and gently pull that out of the socket. It's not like that other one I showed you. It has like a, I'll try to show you here in a second if I remember. But after you get these buttons out, you have to go along here and grab the plastic and pull out. It has some sort of there's something it snaps into inside of there. I don't really understand what it is because I didn't pull it all the way out and look at it. This rubber thing on this one, I pulled it up and over, and you can see there's some clips right here that go into the fender. Okay, hopefully you're seeing those, right? And you can pull those back. I didn't want to go too far, but you can pull those back and you can get this guy out of your way. But there is what you're trying to get out. I know I've seen videos before where people don't show the actual thing that you're trying to get out, and it drives me nuts. So I wanted to be detailed about this. It might take a little extra time, but hopefully it pays off for you because it'll save you time on the back end. And you can see right down there, hopefully. Am I showing it? I can't tell. Right there. See that oval shaped hole? That's where that plug goes into. Okay, so when you're ready to put that back together, don't forget that piece. But that has to come out of the way so that you can get this part loose. And once that part is loose, I'm not going to be able to show you on this side because you see how the wiper captures that. There's a hole in this plastic right here, and the wiper arm has captured that. That's why that one guy took these off and took it all the way out of the way. And in some ways, that might be a little easier to manipulate your hands, and it'll be a little easier instead of having to go through that little slot right there. But as you can see, I've got plenty of room. I can get my arm in there and get the job done, and I was able to do the other side. And it's going to save you a step and potentially damaging something or getting the wipers out of alignment. I'm the kind of guy that if I don't have to work on something like the wipers or something, if it's not, this car, they brought me struts and rotors and brakes and sway bar end links. Other than that, I'm not messing with it. I'll tell them if I see something, obviously, but I'm not going to mess with something that potentially could be damaged. So I find oftentimes when people go by the book, they end up doing a lot more work than they actually have to do. Remember, this plastic is pliable and flexible, and especially since it has this slot here for the hood prop. And yeah, their hood prop doesn't work. So make sure you have something like some vice grips to put in there. All right, guys, I wanted to give you a shot up underneath that plastic. So hopefully you'll be able to see those clips up underneath there. I'm going to try to point the light right at it, right there. Right there. That's what I'm talking about. So on this side, on the driver's side, they don't really come off of the clips, and it is a little bit tighter. I had a little bit more room to play with it over there, and I had a little bit more room to get my hands in comfortably. I knew this driver's side was going to be the tight side, so I wanted to make sure that it was doable before I, made a video about it and told you guys about it. But yeah, you can prop something up underneath there like your flashlight like that, and it gives you enough room to get your hands in here and get the job done. And I just wanted you to see those clips so you would know how it goes back together. All right, one other thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video is that I'm not going to explain to you how to get the tire off and how to get, the jack stand set and the jack and all that stuff. I'm assuming, and if you're taking on this job, you should already know how to do that stuff without someone else showing you. So, not trying to be rude, it's just the way it is. The first thing I did yesterday when I jacked this car up and took the wheels off, put jack stands on it for safety, first thing I did was I hit everything with penetrating oil. PB Blaster. Highly recommend it. It'll save you a lot of time and hard back-breaking work. So let's see if we can get in here. We're going to be going that direction. Yeah, she's in there. And so far, I'm watching it on the other side, but so far I haven't needed a backup wrench. And the reason why is because these are splined. So I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I don't have to get it all the way off. I'm just trying to get it loose enough where I can get the rest with my ratchet. Okay. Yeah. Get some. Okay, that's good enough to start with. As far as tightness goes, this is probably the hardest part of this job, is getting those guys out. Of course, I say that, but the sway bar end link can be a little bit challenging too, especially if you're dealing with a factory one. I'm dealing with a factory sway bar end link, and the way you can tell, or one of the ways you can tell, is it's got an 8mm. This part right here on the end of the threads is not threaded all the way down. There's a little end right here that's hexagon, and it's 8mm. And one of the things that makes these challenging is these nuts are not, they're intentionally squished a little bit so that they bite down and they lock in once they're in place. So, all right, I'm going to be turning that guy this way, and see what sucks is oh man, that right there sucks. But also what sucks is I can't really put a socket on here because it blocks me. So what I did on the other side was I got the 8mm up near the top of the strut tower. And actually, you know what? I don't have to take this one off. I have to take the bottom one off. Your mileage may vary. You may have to take this one off. The reason I don't have to take them off is because I'm changing out the strut and the sway bar end link. So I can leave the top one on, saving me a little bit of labor, and I will take that bottom one off right there. It's a little harder to get to, and it may be harder for me to show you guys a good image of what's going on, because I know it will, because I won't be able to get my camera in there. But it looks exactly like this on the back side. I'm going to have to reproduce this setup, except for instead of having the advantage of being able to see it like this, I'm going to be blind on that back side. So, all right, I decided to try to record a little bit of it because I want to show you how I got the other side off. Find something hard that it's going to bump up into, and I'm hoping that that will hit this drive shaft here, CV shaft, and if it does, it'll lock in right there. If not, I may have to go down to the control arm. In fact, that might be a better way. Let's just do that. We know that control arm's not going anywhere. So now that I've got that 8mm locked in, I can take my hammer and, so in other words, stop. Hammer time. Not working. Okay. That's odd. Usually when I say hammer time, it works. Okay, that thing is still in my way. I'm gonna have to get that out of the way. It's something to do with the ABS or something. I don't know. Some kind of BS. I can't get a good purchase on it there. What's going on? What's up with you? You're not going to make me lay on the ground, are you? That'd be nice. You son of a... Where'd that other wrench go? Well, shit, man. I guess that 8mm is lost forever because I can't see it. What the hell? It was just here. You guys saw it. Where did it go? Can you at least tell me which way it went? Oh, crap. Oh. Sneaky. It made me think it fell out, but it didn't. It's just chilling on the control arm. All right. Yeah, this is kind of why I didn't want to try to film this, because I knew this was going to happen. So let me try it this way. I see a slot here, an opportunity. Oh yeah, that's it. Ha ha ha, I just cracked the code, guys. The Chevy Traverse code. Dealership probably charge you $10,000 for this job here. I don't know. That's what I'd charge. Make sure I'm going the right direction. Am I? Nope. That's part of the problem there. I'm going the wrong direction, but at least I've got this better vantage point here. I should be able to just turn that to the sway bar. And then go up instead of down. Okay. Yeah. That's it. That's the ticket right there. All right. Now we just got to fidget with this thing. I just wanted to show you, you're going to have to kind of get creative. One other thing you could do is if you're having a real hard time is you could get a pry bar or something and get underneath this wrench right here. See how close it is to the control arm right there? You could maybe sneak a pry bar up underneath that and help you get some grunt on it, you know, because that's what it's going to take at the end of the day. And, you know, for the first time in my whole life, I'm just now thinking, man, it'd be kind of cool to have some of those ratcheting wrenches, but otherwise, I don't see much use for them. Okay, I'm just double checking everything. I've got the two big bolts out. Hopefully the camera's showing that. They're splined on this side right here. So you don't want to go to turning on these things, trying to unscrew them. That won't work. You're going to have to knock them out like I did. I've got that rotor supported with a floor jack. When I started unscrewing these shock tower bolts, I wanted to unthread them all the way as much as I could. Well, I noticed that as I was unthreading them, this whole thing was dropping down slowly. So I put the jack underneath it and I raised it back up to where I could take those bolts off. And set those aside. We'll be reusing these bolts. Oh, there went my flashlight. There went my bolt. Need to keep that handy. Maybe that will work. Okay, it's the point of no return right now. There we go. Just got to wiggle it just right. Okay, I should be able to let go of that. Just going to see how that's going to sit here. Is that going to try to tip? May have to give her a little bit, give her a pump or two to keep it from tipping. It's like it's going to stay right there. I'm watching the brake line, making sure I don't have too much pressure on that brake line. But now our strut is free. Sort of. Except for that one bolt in the top. So I'm going to loosen that off while holding on right here. Okay, so now we're going to come down. Okay. All right. And there you have it. One old leaking strut. Over here off camera, I sized everything up and I compared the old strut to the new one to make sure we're doing the right thing here and everything's looking good. Okay, it appears there's only one way this puppy can go in there. So I don't think you can screw it up. The hard part is you got to remember to take these off, take the nuts off, put them up top where you can grab them easy. And one of these bolts is not like the others. And I noticed the same thing on the strut. See how these are like normal machine bolts, like they normally just cut it off and round it a little bit. But this one has a little point on it. So I'm not exactly sure what that's indicating, but I can see that they'll only go in one way. Okay, so I need to get myself in position. I think I'm going to have to take the glove off because I don't think I'll be able to have the dexterity that I need. I'm going to use my right hand, my dominant arm, to hold it up. Okay, so, and then I'll grab one of these nuts and try to get one started on the top side. You won't be able to see that. But basically what I have to do is weave it in there like I kind of opposite of the way I came out. I have to weave in like that and then go up and hit that hole right there. Might have to put a little hair around it, make it happen. But anyway, hit that hole right there and then grab a nut and stick a nut on there without dropping a nut, because that'd be a bad deal. Okay, so go down without scratching the paint. Okay. All right, this is the hard part. Okay, I see the hole. Any one will do. It started. I got it. Ha ha ha! Winning! I'm going to go ahead and start the rest. Whew. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Getting her done. Alright. I joked earlier that the dealer would probably charge $10,000. I don't think so. I looked it up online. They said front struts was $500 to $700 plus parts. So yeah, labor's getting real expensive. So I hope you guys can get out there and use some of this stuff, get your own stuff done. And you know, I did the struts on my wife's Lexus not too long ago, and I thought it was going to be much harder, but actually this one's a little harder just because of the plastic cowl thing I had to deal with. On hers, I had to take it off, but it was designed so that it could come off fairly easily. Okay, so now we just have to manipulate this back in and line the holes up. Sounds pretty easy, right? And that's one reason you don't want to tighten up your top bolts yet all the way. You know, you can snug them a little if you want, but see, right now I can tell I'm way out of alignment. I'm too high with my jack, so I have to lower the jack. So it looks pretty close. Okay. Got one started. Usually if you get that top one in, the bottom one is no problem. You just have to manipulate it a little. Okay. And I'm just feeling to try to get those ridges started in about the same place. And I'm not going to do very much of this, but I want to seat them enough so that I don't have to use a backup wrench. Okay, so now when I put that nut on and proceed to tighten it down, it will pull that through the rest of the way. I'm going to wait. I was going to stick that thing back on right there, this ABS sensor, but I'm going to wait because I want to be able to access this entirely without the impedance of that plastic thing in the way. So okay, let me read you the torque specs on those nuts right quick. Okay, the lower strut mounts are 144 foot-pounds. Now, unfortunately, my torque wrench doesn't go over 100, so I'm going to have to use my patented torque elbow. I have sensitivity here on my elbow like you wouldn't believe. We're gonna go to 144, not an inch more. All right, here we go. All right. Whoop. That's about a quarter grunt. That's a half grunt. Yeah. So I'm gonna say 144. That's about 3.5 grunts. Couple deep breaths. Okay. There's about a quarter grunt there. Let's see here. We're gonna need to get to a place where I can get to it a little bit. Maybe I can. I'd like to get 2 hands and reproduce what I did a while ago. Okay, and one to grow on here, because you don't want these coming loose on you. All right, that's looking good. All right, I've got to go over and prepare my sway bar end link. My buddy, he bought all this stuff from Rock Auto. And I asked him right before, I was like, hey, did you check to make sure you got 2 of them end links? He's like, no, I didn't. And sure enough, he only got 1. So I put the Moog on the other side, and he went and bought another brand, like a O'Reilly's, I think. O'Reilly's brand. So we'll slap that on here. But I got to put the grease zerks in it. The Moog one had the grease zerks already installed. So I'll be right back. All right, off camera, I tightened all those bolts up on the top side, and I also torqued them down. The spec calls for 33. I went ahead and went to 35 just because my torque wrench reads 35 real easily. They all torqued down nicely. I tried to get them back in the exact same spot that they were. This sway bar end link, because it's a different manufacturer, it's a different size. So when you're ordering them, make sure to get the same size. The other one was all 18, but I had to pull a 19 out for this one. The nice thing is that it takes a 16 on the back side. So that gives me a little bit more room, and plus I have several 16s over there in the toolbox. So we just wiggle that on. And to start with, I'm going to try to run this with the impact driver just to make it faster. Okay. I'll have to look real quick what the specs are. Okay, so this is a weird one. It calls for 57 foot-pounds on the bottom and 55 on the top. Kind of bizarre. Is there enough room for me to? Yep, I think so. Okay, so 55. Oh, and by the way, I could not torque the bottom one because there is no possible way that you're getting a traditional torque wrench in there. There it is. That might be 56, but we're going for it. Okay. Yep, that wrench is going to turn. Yeah. Get some. Then we've got to wiggle that out. And we are all torqued down and buttoned up. I torqued the ones on top side before. I don't have a powerful enough torque wrench. I believe mine only goes to 100. Actually, it's 80. It only goes to 80. So I don't have a powerful enough torque wrench. Therefore, I just put the grunt on it, you know. I'd say 3.5 grunts with a long cheater, or not a cheater bar, but a long breaker bar, and you should be good to go. They look like pretty strong bolts. I don't think you're going to break them. So we're going to go up top side, and I'm going to show you guys how to button up that plastic stuff and get it back together. If you're still here with me on this video, you're a super fan, and I appreciate it, especially if you don't have a car like this. I don't know about you guys, but I like watching people work on vehicles and figure stuff out and come up with new techniques that may be a little better. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade on A1 Auto. They did a fine job. All this other stuff, all the torque specs, everything else, I got that from them without even having to look up the book. But this part right here, I had a little disagreement with them. So I'm going to set the camera up real quick, and we'll see if we can capture this, and I'll show you how to manipulate this back in, and we'll button everything up, and we'll call this done. Don Dada. Done deal. Get it out of my shop. I got to get a tractor in here before the freezing rain comes. By the way, don't forget to plug your ABS sensor back into the little grommet plugs, and we're ready to lower this down. And on the strut assembly, they had a couple of warning stickers that said your car may ride 2 or 3 inches higher at first. That it will settle in, but because they're brand new springs, it may ride a little high at first, but it should ride good. All right. So, should be able to lift this a little, and then lift this. Try to do it where I'm not in your way. Okay. It has to go past some metal. Don't forget to clip your washer fluid hose back in. It's easy as that right there. We're good back there. I'm just going to shove it back a little. Okay. I just want to make sure it's all the way seated. It feels good, and I can see that the plastic plug holes are lining up. So, how's this looking? Same thing happened on the other side. I had to kind of manipulate this to get this hole to line up. Oh, okay. Now it's time to tuck this rubber thing back in and reclip everything where it goes. Remember I showed you that earlier? It has that clip on there. You want to be careful with that, not to break it. Okay, and you just push that down in there, and then make sure they're all locked in like that, all the way around. Now we're back in there. I mean, I got to give it to them as far as quickness goes. I know why they use these. I just prefer old school mechanical fasteners and less plastic coverings. Okay, make sure that's all the way down. Push that down. Focus. Focus, focus. There we go. The one on the right there is the larger one. It's got a bigger end on it. Hopefully you wouldn't be able to put it in there. Just pay attention to that stuff, man. That's the kind of little stuff like that that can really get you and ruin your day. This guy here, let's not forget that. That goes right here. Just to seal up the hood. And we've got a couple more plugs left. And can I reach it? Boom, Bob's your uncle. That's how you do it, guys. That's how you put struts on a 2016. I almost called it an RX 350, but it's not. It's a Chevrolet Traverse. 2016 Chevy Traverse. Go out there and get it done. If I wasn't filming, I would say I could have this job done, just the struts, in 4 hours, safely in 4 hours, 2 hours per side, okay? Now that was the first time I've ever worked on this particular type of vehicle. So my second one, I could probably have it done in 3.5 hours, right? You get better at it as you go because you know what to do and you're not as intimidated by it. But yeah, one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to squirt a little bit of grease in there. Don't squirt so much that it's going to blow the seals out, brand new seals. You want to like maybe 2 pumps max. Just watch them as you're pumping it in. As you see those seals start to expand a little bit, that's enough. Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You got to have some heavy, tools and be willing to grunt on it a little bit. But again, I saved my friend several $100s by doing this, and he knows he's getting a good quality job because I did it. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and hit me up in the comments. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best of my ability. Whoa, now we're super bright. I got to clean up my mess and get ready to do a brake job on this car. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you next time.